Hello, welcome to Miniature Realms. My name's Stuart and welcome to something wet and salty. I'm of course talking about Black Seas from Warlord Games. It's the 1:700 scale naval warfare between 1770 and 1830. So those of you who aren't familiar with it, let's sort of run through what you get now and what kind of things are available from Warlord Games. So I won't bore you with an unboxing of this release because it's a couple of years old and there are many of them on YouTube for you to see. But what I will do is just give you a bit of a quick overview of what the game is while I show you some lovely pictures from the Warlord Games website and give you a little hint of the range that's available to you if you are interested in naval warfare in the Napoleonic period. So Black Seas allows you to recreate thrilling naval battles of the age of sail in all their glory, utilising a unique and innovative system based around the most important factor of sail-powered combat, the wind. Additional rules enable you to fight in line of battle, engage shore batteries, rake your enemies with withering initial broadsides, or capture vessels in heroic boarding actions, all while avoiding such hazards as navigation and fog banks, fire ships and shipwrecks. The rules allow you to field fleets comprised of vessels ranging from the tiniest gunboats up to the true giants of the waves, the mighty first-rate warships. So there's a number of named vessels that are included. So your Victory, obviously, your Santissima Trinidad, the USS Constitution, and so on. I'm sure more would be added in the future. As I said, this game's been around for a little while. I suppose its launch would have, I think it was 2019, but it's always interested me right from the moment it was released. I thought, oh, that looks interesting, and didn't have the time. And I remember when I picked up the box, I think I got it from a third-party retailer, the starter set, and it was about £40. And I think now it's a little bit more. Price goes up on the screen now because I can't remember, but it's still a really great set. So really briefly, what is in the starter set? Well, I've had this a while. So you get your A4 softback rulebook. You get highly detailed 1:700 scale plastic ship models. So you get 3 frigates and 6 brigs. That's quite a lot packed in there. You get your assembly guides and things like that. You get flags. They are paper. You get acetate ratlines. You've got flags and things as well. You get some rigging thread. We'll come back to rigging in a moment. You get a battle mat in the starter set. It's like a poster. It's A0 size, so fairly decent sized for the smaller actions. You get your dice and other bits and bobs in there as well. Now, as I already mentioned, I've had this a little while and done nothing with it apart from flick through like that, and I haven't even really flicked through the rulebook much because I've got the PDF for the rules as well, so you can buy the PDF from the Warlord Games website. So I've even been using that to read through the rules, and that's pretty much all I've done is just read through the rules once, and it's a really nice book and some good information at the end about ships. If you're like me and you know the period a little bit, and your experiences of watching Hornblower, reading Alexander Kent, those kind of things, you get a feel for the period. But if I was on a ship and asked to point out lots of different things and the correct names, I would get it wrong a lot. And in the rule book there's some really nice pages at the back that just help you with sort of some salty sea terms and things like that. So why coming back to it now? What has suddenly made me think, right, let's just use it as a bit of a break from doing those other things just for an hour or two a week rather than painting Napoleonic inventory? Well, funny enough, things keep popping up on my Facebook feed. There's a lovely chap called Ian Mann, who's the owner of Boards and Swords in Derby, who they were the venue of Plastic Cracks podcasts, CrackCon. They've just had the second run of that, and he's big into the game as far as I can tell, because he keeps popping up on my Facebook feed for the glorious 1st of June game that he's putting on, and he's been building and painting 70 ships, and they just keep popping up on my feed, and every time I did I thought, oh, I might need to open that box. So I didn't stop there, and I decided to add to the box rather than just start on the box which has been sat collecting dust. Decided to put more money into it, which is always the way with me, and I suppose the first thing that I went to purchase was the brand new supplement holdfast, and that must be another reason why Black Sails is back in my my field of vision, so to speak, popping up in my in my emails from Warlord Games and in the Facebook groups and things like that. So and the book looked really interesting, and it got me thinking, and we'll come back to that in a moment. But I thought, well, I can't just buy a book. I always like to add some miniatures to the cart as well. And if you remember me saying that the contents of the starter set, you actually get an odd number of frigates. You get 3 frigates. So I thought, well, if I'm going to split the fleet into 2 for a nice even game, I don't know enough about the game to know whether it's even worth doing that, but I like to start from an even space, do a French and a British fleet. So I thought, well, if I buy you 1 more frigate, and you can buy them on their own, that means it's 2 a side, and then I can split the brig, so 3 a side. And I thought, well, it'd be nice to get a slightly larger ship, but I didn't want to go for any of the named resin ones yet. So I went for a box of third rates. So they're slightly larger than the frigates, which I think are 4th rates. So I went for the third rates. Now you only get 3 in there again, so there's a problem with it splitting. So that's the other sprue in this bag. I've got an individual third rate on its own, so I'll end up with 4 third rates, 4 frigates and 6 brigs, so I can split it 50-50 if I decide to go that route, and it'd be a nice little even, good sized force, I imagine. And apart from adding some named things that I know I want to pick up Victory, for example, how can you not? It felt like it was the right thing to do, and you can buy the sails on their own, and you can buy the rat lines and things like that. So I picked those up just in case. They're fairly cheap. I may need some more of the cards and things, so I'll decide whether I want to go down the route of picking those up. So I've added all those to it, as well as my copy of Holdfast. And of course you'll notice this lovely blue neoprene mat. The mat you get in the start set is absolutely serviceable. It is shiny though, and because I will do what I do for a living of painting miniatures, and I want to take pictures and post them on my Instagram and things like that, and I also want to make some videos, it just reflects the light and really shines. So I thought if I was going to do this, I want to go do it properly, so I did pick up the 6x4 mat. Again, for the size of fleets I've got, 4x4 may would have done, but you never know. There's no point in buying 4x4 now and then only having to make it bigger later. So I also got the mats. But it was the book itself that was that really made me think, you know what, this might be a good time to add this game to your collection and start thinking about playing it. And one of the major things, I'm quite busy and I struggle to get to my local club because of the ages of my kids and things like that. I was flicking through, the reviews online, and I watched an interview with Gabrielle on War Games Illustrated, and I'm pretty sure he mentioned it, but however much it came up anyway, there's a nice little section here of solo gaming, and that's not often covered. I didn't know what it was going to entail in the book, but that was one of the final things that made me think, oh, that's fantastic. I could probably paint some of these ships up and maybe amuse myself for an hour or so in the evening. And it's a game when you're just moving, a handful of ships rather than trying to swap sides of the table to move whole ranks of troops, which I can understand doing, but ships might be a little bit easier. And then the final thing was, I was looking at some pictures online, and my eldest son, he's only 7, but he quite likes pirates and things like that. He's recently watched Pirates of the Caribbean, and he was really taken by the ships. And I thought, well, if he likes the game, I can buy a couple of ships and we can make them up as pirates, as privateers for him as well, which would be quite cool. Now, I want to come back and do a separate little video on this book. It's newer. As I said, I've read the normal rules once through. I haven't played any games, so I'm not going to be able to give a review of this from a really detailed perspective. But there aren't so many reviews for this out there, and it is brand new out. It's only released in the last week or so off pre-order, so it's on general release now. So I thought I'll do a bit of a quick review and flick through this in a bit more detail for those of you that have maybe picked up Black Seas a little while ago, played some games, and it's kind of made its way onto shelves as new things come along, as we do as gamers, and maybe you haven't got around to picking this up yet, are interested in what's in there. Obviously there'll be people out there that are experienced in the game that might give you better insight, but I'll give you a layman's view of it in a separate video coming up in the next week or so, I imagine. Now, I appreciate this video smacks a little bit of, oh, look what I've just bought, which wasn't really the intention. I just wanted to share with the subscribers, but maybe some new people that will find the channel because of it. It's a game I find interesting and that I'm going to be covering on the channel. Partly because I'd love to engage with you guys, and no doubt I'll have some comments from those of you who subscribe to the channel, watch the channel, that have already played this, and you can give me some advice and some tips and things. But also, you can feed back to what sort of content and things you like. The first things for me are definitely going to be just getting a couple of ships built and painting one to completion, and then playing around with the rigging. And that seems to be, I don't think it put me off originally, but I think it definitely made me think that this is maybe something to put on the shelf for a little while. Otherwise, I think if the rigging wasn't a thing, I would have maybe ploughed into it and at least built all the ships by now, and maybe played around with it. But because I had so many other projects at the time, I always knew it was going to be a later project. And looking at how hard the rigging is and hearing some stories about it, they made me just think, yeah, we'll kick that can down the road a little bit. Now, I've watched some videos on it. I've not tried it, but Gabriel's seems the best to me. It seems to take you through, and it matches what's in the rule book itself in terms of the description of how to do it. I think it just looks time consuming, and try not to stress about it, and get you get the ships painted, and then just take them one by one and get the rigging done. Again, love to hear your rigging stories, nightmares, and I think the rigging is a thing that's put a fair few people off the game. So if you found other solutions, I have noticed in my recent searches and delves into 3D printing that I think you can get some 3D files for the rat lines. Now that looks interesting, so I'm not sure what I think about the acetate ones. I don't mind the card sails because you can billow those right and you can weather them a bit, but the rat lines I'm not so sure. I know you can buy jigs to make them, I think, or out of cotton, but again, that looks extremely fiddly. But again, love to hear your experiences and what you've done. I like the idea of printing them. I do worry that they would be also too fragile, and I think that something that fragile, you almost want to glue it on the ship, and then it'd be there when you prime it, just to help seal it all in. But I imagine the way the ships are built, you have to add them afterwards. Again, so the thought of painting these really delicate rat lines that I've 3D printed and trying to glue them on afterwards, and then breaking one and swearing and stuff might not be the best thing. But again, please share with me your thoughts and experiences on those. Trying to take you away from the pile of what I've just bought and not started yet. Well, thanks very much for watching. Let's draw this video to a close now. Let me know what you'd like to see on the channel in terms of Black Seas content, really. It's as I mentioned throughout the video, it's not something that it's going to take over in a huge way. I don't think. It'll be a smaller project for me that I'll use as a bit of a palette cleanser in between painting lots of tiny inventory, I think, most of the time. And I think, aside from the rigging, it will be relatively quick and easy to do. I don't think it will take too long. I'm interested in doing some painting tutorials, but I'm very mindful that there'll be a lot of repetition in them, and maybe I only need one painting tutorial. One ship will do it. One sort of mid-sized ship will probably give you all of the transferable skills and things that you can take to paint any of them. Maybe you'd like to see something for different nations, but again, it's just going to be adding the different coloured sort of nation coloured striping on the side, maybe. So maybe they'd just be repetitive. So right now I'm feeling just one really good tutorial, maybe on something iconic like the Victory or something like that, would cover enough so that you could, if you wanted to paint them the same way as me, you could go and copy those schemes and things and apply them to something else. And if I was to do the French fleet, I'd just be swapping certain colours out rather than anything real. I'd be repeating an awful lot. The same with like Spanish or something like that, would I just be swapping the yellow for the red, so to speak. Let me know, what do you think? Would you like to see lots of tutorials? I'm not going to do a rigging tutorial. Gabriel's official rigging tutorial on the Warlord Games YouTube site is great. And I can't imagine putting one of those together. It takes me a long time to put a painting tutorial together. Sometimes I can't imagine putting you through that, so I'm not going to do it, so don't ask. But yeah, let me know what sort of content. As I've already mentioned, I'm really interested in the solo rules, and they might make a really nice little battle reports and things. So would you like to see battle reports for Black Seas? More than happy to do that. I haven't done them yet, but that's definitely something we're looking to do in the future, and it could be a really simple way to do some shorter ones maybe. So anyway, thanks very much for watching. If you're new to the channel, please do take a look at the other things that are on there. Lots of epic Napoleonics, so same era. Lots of epic American Civil Wars, a bit of bold action. There will be more of that soon. There's even some 10mm Wars of the Roses and some Middle Earth stuff, and there will be more to follow in the future. So give us a like, give us a subscribe, and I'll catch you soon. Thank you.